In this video, we're looking at the distance formula and the midpoint formula. A distance formula is essentially just a fancy version of Pythagoras, and I'll show you why later. And the midpoint formula finds the midpoint between 2 points. So this is best seen through an example. We've got these 2 points, 2,5 and 6,8. We're going to find the distance and the midpoint between those. So let's put these points in. 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be our first point. Here it is. 2, 5. Next time we got is 6, 8. So I'm going to go all the way out to 6 on the x, 5, 6, and 6, 7, 8 on the y. Just putting it out like that. There we go. So we want to find the distance and the midpoint, and we can sort of do this graphically, intuitively already. So if I look at the distance, I'd be looking for the length of that line between them. There we go. So distance would be that length. And then if I want the midpoint, well, it's the point on that line, which is exactly halfway through. So if we think about how would I find the distance of that, you might notice, well, we have a right-angled triangle there. And that's got a width of 4 and a height of 3. So we could do Pythagoras on it. So distance squared equals 4 squared plus 3 squared. So distance squared equals 25. So distance equals 5 units. So that's what we're expecting to get for our answer. Maybe let's use the distance formula and see if we get the same thing. So what we get is the distance equals square root of x2 take x1 squared plus y2 take y1 squared. Okay, so in our case, we got to label our points. So this will be x1 and y1, and this will be x2 and y2, just like that. So when we plug this all into the distance formula, I'm going to get square root of 4, that point is 6, 8. Square root of 6 take 2 squared plus 8 take 5 squared, which is square root of 4 squared plus 3 squared, which should hopefully look familiar because that's square root of 25, which is 5. So the distance formula is literally just Pythagoras. Because if you think about it, x2 take x1 is your run, and y2 take y1 is your rise. So like, you'll get this when you're looking between 2 points. And then how do you find the distance? Well, it's run squared plus rise squares, and then you square root it. All right, midpoint. So to find the midpoint, well, you can kind of see it on here. We're expecting it to be, I guess this would be 4 on the x value, and in between 5 and 8. So I think that'll be 6.5 on the y value. But let's see if we can get it using the midpoint formula. All right, midpoint is going to be x1 plus x2 over 2, comma y1 plus y2 over 2. So this is going to be 2 plus 6 of both of our x values, and the y values are 5 and 8. So that becomes 8 over 2 and 13 over 2, which is indeed 4, 6.5, just as we expected. So that's how those two formulas work. The reason we teach you together is because they're very related. So let's do this one, which is a little bit trickier. 2 minus 3 is our first point. So we're sitting down here. And minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is our next point here. So when I'm talking about the distance between these points, I'm going to be looking for the length of that blue line there. So let's work it out. x1 and y1 x2 and y2. Distance is going to be square root of x2 take x1 squared plus y2 take y1 squared, which is the square root of -1 take 2 squared plus 8 take -3 squared, which is the square root of -3 squared plus 11 squared. -3 squared is still positive 9, and 11 squared is 121. So that becomes square root of 130 units. Now what we've got here is called our exact answer, and if you put it into your calculator, you'll get an approximate answer. And depending on the context of the question, you might want either one. So if you're working in theory, like doing a proof or something, exact is better. But if you're working in the real world, approximate is better. Because if I tell you it's 130, it's root 130 units from here to Westlands, you'll wonder what I'm talking about. All right, 11.402. Beautiful. That's the approximate answer there. I use the squiggly equal sign. Now let's just make sure this makes sense. Is that line about 11 units long? It looks about 11. So it definitely goes up by 11 and it goes across a little bit. So 11 and a bit. Good. Let's find the midpoint. Midpoint. So we add our x values together. 2 plus -1 over 2. And we get -3 plus 8 over 2. So this becomes 1 over 2, and this becomes 5 over 2. So this becomes 0.5 and 2.5, yep. Let's see that in action. If I look, the midpoint's going to be about there, 0.5 and 2.5, which kind of makes sense based on the line that we've drawn. Brilliant.